The election of 1800 was kind of a big deal. It was a major factor in transforming the power structure of our emerging nation. But before we can appreciate the impact of the election of 1800, we have to go back to where it all started, and by it I mean us, the United States. These are the 13 American colonies. Oh, and they're also British. They don't like to think about it too much, though, because they're largely self-governing and they rely on Britain only for military support and trade. That is until after the French Indian War. "Give us money," said Britain. "No, you guys didn't even ask us first," said America. "We're going to tax you and penalize you guys for protesting the taxes. Then we're leaving." Then America sent Great Britain a long breakup text, had a fight, and left. But different people wanted to leave for different reasons. Britain's government is too big and not free enough, and the way it's run is not good for Americans. It's also too centralized, and governments should be more based in colonies or states. That's why we want independence, because we want to be different from Britain. No, Britain's government is not a bad type of government. The problem is that they have not let us have representatives in that government. That is why we want independence, to have self-control, not drastically change the government. While this debate was largely put on hold during the war, the smaller government gang largely won out in the first organized government formed by the Articles of Confederation. However, by 1787, the young government was in trouble. Little legislation could be passed, and it was near impossible to collect taxes to pay debts, and the military. So everyone meets up to amend the Articles of Confederation, and by amend, they actually meant destroy and replace, which they did with the U.S. Constitution. But not without debate. This time, the stronger government advocates had the upper hand. Although they didn't get original proposals such as lifetime terms for the Senate and President, they did create a much stronger central government and a relatively strong executive, all without guaranteeing any pesky rights in the original document. The supporters of the Constitution and strong central government were called Federalists, while those that opposed strong central government and the Constitution, now called Anti-Federalists, seem to have lost the battle. They made the considerable impact of adding the Bill of Rights as the first 10 amendments, guaranteeing liberties and limiting the scope of the government. After the popular, independent but Federalist-leaning presidency of George Washington, 1796 marked the first contested U.S. presidential election. In the Federalist corner, coming in with 8 years of experience as the incumbent vice president, the Colossus of Independence, John Adams. In the former Anti-Federalist, now Democratic Republican corner, the first Secretary of State, author of the Declaration of Independence, the fellow from Monticello, Thomas Jefferson. Fight! Adams was campaigning as the heir apparent to the beloved Washington and experiencing Federalist popularity and people liking a strong central government. Jefferson was more saying, maybe we should chill on this government thing. This coming from a revolutionary coward? Well, you're just a monarchist. You probably want your son to be president next. I mean, plus you're just friends with the radical Alexander Hamilton. What? No, Adams stinks. Vote for Pinckney. Wow, thanks, Alex. But at least I'm not friends with the violent French revolutionaries. What? Oui, Tommy is a great friend, much more fun than you Federalists. It was a close election, but Washington's popularity combined with the fear that Jefferson was too close with the French led to Adams winning. But Hamilton's failed attempt to stop Adams led to Jefferson getting second place and thus becoming Adams' vice president under the rules of the time. Round 2. It's 1800 and Jefferson is asking America for a promotion, but Adams doesn't want to get fired yet, so we have a rematch. While the issues and positions remained from the last election, Jefferson and the Democratic Republicans also were against Adams and the Federalists on their passage of the Alien and Sedition Acts, acts that punished people for speaking out against the government or the president. The Democratic Republicans thought that these acts were unconstitutional. That, along with Hamilton writing letters advising against re-electing Adams, led to Jefferson and his running mate Aaron Burr winning the election. Except they actually tied because president and vice president didn't run together yet, but as two technically presidential candidates, with the second place getting the vice president position, like Jefferson had gotten with Adams. So now, the Federalist-controlled House of Representatives had to pick between two Democratic Republicans. They tried to troll Jefferson for a while, but after he said he'd be more open to Federalist positions, and the Federalist leader Alexander Hamilton said, "This Jefferson guy's not all that bad." Jefferson finally became president. While the election of 1800 was the beginning of the end of the Federalist Party, and it seemed like their hopes for a stronger British-style U.S. were lost, this was not the case. Jefferson soon had to at least partially abandon his ideal of a limited government to make the Great Deal of the Louisiana Purchase, which would help to expand his view of American exceptionalism. Plus, the Supreme Court case Marbury v. Madison established the idea that the judicial branch could rule legislative and executive acts unconstitutional, expanding their power, but also expanding the possibility that the other branches would push the envelope, knowing that the court could intervene. The election of 1800 solidified American ideals. While America would be a different type of country with guaranteed rights, it would also have a stronger government which would help to gain manufacturing businesses and corporations as European nations had. A great country was formed from the band of rebellious colonies with a strong economy and strong freedoms, and this could not have been created without the dissenting views of our founding fathers.